Good morning, West Indies Cricket Development Academy fans. It's an honor once again to be here with you all. And we must apologize for the technical problem that we had yesterday. But as promised, we are back in business this morning to preview, as you can see on your screen, to preview the T20 World Cup official warm-up match between the West Indies and Australia at the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad and Tobago. I am your host, Junior Cadlin, and as usual, I have alongside me the executive chair of the Cricket Hall of Fame in Connecticut, United States, also a contributor to our academy, Michael Chambers, and I have also Cricket Hall of Famer John Melbourne continuing to be with us, learned journalist from Jamaica, but now living in the beautiful state of California, Dennis Eat, also with us this morning. Fellow journalist and also a Jamaican with us this morning again, Mr. Dale Brown, honorary secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame that is based in Connecticut, United States. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining again on this prestigious channel of ours as we continue to build up to the World Cup. World Cup, the biggest of them all. World Cup 2024, co-hosted by the United States and the West Indies here in the Caribbean. Thank you for joining me this morning as we look towards the warm-up game that starts at 7 p.m. local time in Trinidad and Tobago at the iconic Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain, where many great cricketers would have made their name and so much memorable victory against Australia for the West Indies at that iconic ground. This morning, some great news for West Indies in the rankings, the world rankings that came out. It came out the 25th of May 2024, and the West Indies now the ranked number 4 team in T20 international cricket. When we started the year, we were number 7 in the world. And before we came to the end of 2023, West Indies were number 10 in ODI cricket and number 10 in T20 and number 8 in Test cricket. What a dramatical turnaround. Head coach Darren Sammy and his staff, along with the charismatic captain in Rodman Powell, and also Brandon King would have brought to the energy they bring, the new leadership and the new vision and the energy that they bring to West Indies cricket. Your thoughts on the rankings before we move into the game with Australia and the West Indies? And before you come in, I just want to, acknowledge all our fans from the United States, from India, from Pakistan, and also from the British Virgin Islands, from Australia as well, tuning in this morning to be with us. Every other country, your thing has not yet come up, so I could not see to acknowledge you, but please feel appreciated for joining this channel again and for engaging with us. Leave your comments and your thoughts and we'll do our best to answer them. And coming up Saturday, when we meet again to preview the first game of the World Cup between the West Indies and Namibia there at the Guyana National Stadium there in Guyana. We will have a number displaying on the screen where you could call and pose questions to the panelists and have them answered. Thank you, gentlemen. Your thoughts on West Indies rankings, the improved ranking, the very first time in a number of years, the West Indies now ranked number 4 in world cricket.
Good morning to you, Junior. Good morning to you, Michael and Dale and Mr. Melba. Once again, we're here. Thanks for that opening introduction, Mr. Codlin. Regarding the ranking movement in March of this year, we, as you pointed out, the West Indies were number 7 in the T20 rankings. Today, they are number 4, as you pointed out. And the truth of the matter is, when the West Indies announced that series against South Africa, it was regarded by many as perhaps just a warm-up exercise, not as a world ranking event. So it is very, very important that they continue along this track. And as you pointed out, I want to tip my hat to the new coaches that the West Indies brought on board in the last 2 or 3 years. It appears that they have been making headways in the direction that many West Indian cricket fans have been desiring and seeking for the last few years. So that's my contribution on that item for now.
I think going back, well, first of all, good morning to our listeners again, our viewers, and good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Going back, I do recall that when Darren Sammy was selected to be the white ball coach, there were a lot of people who wondered why he was selected because he didn't have that experience. But it seems as if it's the influence he has based on his experience in playing cricket over the years, and his experience of captaining West Indies to 2 world championships. He has been able to bring it forward now as a coach. I don't know if it's so much as a tactical coach as opposed to an inspirational coach or a motivational coach. But whatever it is, there seem to be some success, and we have to give him credit for that. As far as the ranking goes, to be quite frank, I am not too concerned about ranking. I am more concerned about winning games. And, ranking is one thing, but just win. And I hope we can go into this series and win this World Cup. Will be the unprecedented 3rd World Cup win for the West Indies, which will be the most by any team in T20 World Cup. So, as far as ranking goes, I guess it looks good on paper. I don't know if you get, maybe Mike can tell us more on this. If you get extra dollars for the increased ranking, if the West Cricket Board gets it, but, and I know that ranking goes towards qualifying for some World Cups. And if you don't, not within a certain ranking position, you have to go into a playoff situation to go into the World Cup. So, but I suppose it looks good that we are moved up to number 4 in the world.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. Good morning to the viewers and good morning to Hall of Famer John Melbourne, Hall of Fame nominee, scheduled to be inducted this October, Mr. Dennis Heath, and of course the Executive Director, of the world's first Cricket Hall of Fame based in Hartford, Connecticut. Good morning, all, and good morning to you, Mr. Codlin. Yes, the ranking, it is better to move up in ranking than to remain stagnant or to move backwards. So it is a boost, a confidence boost ahead of the World Cup. By default, ranking is a byproduct of winning, not just winning, but winning series. And so it has to be taken for just for what it is. It will affect qualifying for future tournaments if we remain there, and not only qualifying for those tournaments, but also the seedings that you would get in those tournaments. For example, if we were ranked number 4 going into this World Cup, we would have had more than likely, on paper, an easier group or an easier qualification process to move on to the Super 8 and so on and so forth. So it is a very good thing, and I'm happy to see us move on up with an upward trajectory. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mike? You're muted.
Good morning, viewers, and good morning, panelists, fellow panelists. It's always a pleasure to be on this platform with learned folks talking our language. I would love to go down a different road, and everybody know which road I'm going to go down on, which is the Mind Power Road. That's the only road I travel. Now, let me give a little story. There was a manager of a female cricket team in Jamaica, and her team came second in a competition to play the first place winner for the big trophy. But the first place team had beat up on this woman's team 3 times in the normal competition before they got to the finals. She, and I'm going to call her name, Pauline Anderson, took the opportunity to use osmosis to get the mind power training that she had picked up from the Hall of Fame, to get that knowledge into her players, even though she did not actually go through the wording of the mind power theory. She actually exercised and sort of got the women to practice mind power without even knowing what they did. Now, why am I saying all of that? That team ended up beating the great Melbourne women's team in such a fashion that not even the Melbourne men's team could believe that their team was beaten, that the women's team was beaten by this Trelawney team. Why am I saying all of that? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to get Dr. Shallow on this platform to talk about mind power, because before he became president of Cricket West Indies, he took a 4 weeks training with the Cricket Hall of Fame doing mind power training. I bet you guys didn't know that. Dr. Shallow did a 4 weeks training with the Cricket Hall of Fame, yours truly, and he has the 3 powerful books studying from. That's why he's taking off and he's becoming so famous. Mind power. Why am I saying all of this? As long as the Cricket West Indies will continue down that trend, they have been practicing mind power. This is why you notice how the player, oh, I see Mr. Melbourne showing off one of the books. If we can get our players to get their minds focused, you see, when you have a West Indian player standing on a field with an Indian player who is making $1 million a year, while the West Indian is making 100,000 a year, there's no comparison. We now must get our minds in position, and we are getting there. I love to listen to Mr. Codlin when he's preaching and talking about mind power training. We have to get this into the West Indian culture, the cricket culture. We have to get it into the West Indian culture in terms of everybody. All the people in the West Indies must start developing. Let this mind be in you that is in Christ Jesus. What is that saying? Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have to start working on the minds of West Indians so that we can now compete with the rest of the world, especially in cricket. So this morning to hear that we are at number 4, ranked 4, coming from the bottom, makes my heart feel good. Mind power training, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Codley.
With that being said, we'll go for a break and we'll give the viewers some more information as it regards to mind power.
Cricket West Indies, for them to raise the maroon flag high again in the Caribbean and across the world in the winning streak, they need the method of mind power training. These methods are visualization, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence. These are the methods that will help them to bring them on top again to be the number 1 team in the world in all 3 formats of the game: Test, ODI, and T20. Sir Andrew Strauss is a living testimony to mind power training. This method had helped him throughout his career and still helping him. We need players to learn this method to conquer the game of cricket.
That was Kimberly Forbes there doing that commercial for the Cricket Hall of Fame and the mind power. India remains the ranked number 1 team in T20 cricket. They played 47 match. Australia ranked number 2, 33 match. England ranked number 3, 31 match. The West Indies from 38 games, they rank number 4. They are above New Zealand, South Africa, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. Teams that, and Ireland, teams that have given us major problems in series before the taken over by the Jamaican Powell and the St. Lucian Darren Sammy, coach Darren Sammy. And so since they took over, the team had a remarkable transformation as it regards to the team, ranking better. The warm-up match at the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad and Tobago. We see here that children under 16 and seniors get 50% off. This is touching because in Jamaica, the authorities gave some 3,000 plus tickets away to the kids to be able to go at these games. And these games were only warm-up games, not, a quote-unquote bilateral series. But this is the World Cup. And we know it takes a lot to run a World Cup. But the lasting effect, if you allow these children in, that it will be a legacy. So do you think something is being missed here by looking to charge, these youngsters, under 16 youngsters, if you will, and also the seniors? Do you think the ICC and Cricket West Indies is making a big mistake here?
I wouldn't say they're making a big mistake. What they have to do is take the financing into consideration. So you see, if you give away one ticket, then that's good. But if you give away 2 tickets at half price, that's even better, because the first time you would only have one person in for free. But if you share up the money and you charge each person half price, then now you have 2 people in the game watching the game. So I think they're using that sort of analogy to say, okay, we will charge something, but we are not going to give it away for free because it would put some financial burden on the persons putting on these tournaments. So that's my take on that piece.
And you said this is in Trinidad for the game this evening, Junior.
Yes, it is.
Well, I think in Trinidad, there is probably a bigger turnout for cricket there. So the authorities probably can do that, as opposed to what happened in Jamaica against South Africa. And I suppose, regardless of what they charged in Trinidad, Trinidad and cricket fans will turn out for the game to see West Indies play, and Australia. I mean, so that's what I think it is. It's just a different cricket-loving country, if you want to call it that. That folks, when they turn out, in any case, to see the games, regardless of what they charge, as opposed to, as I say, as opposed to Jamaica, where cricket seemed to have fallen off the chart a little bit. So the authorities there had to do something to bring persons back to the ground. And that's just my take on it.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, in agreement with Mr. Melbourne and Mr. Chambers, it's a different setup in Trinidad, and they would be motivated differently. Even the game in of itself, the South Africa games was a bilateral series and not a warm up. With the official World Cup warm up, you'd expect more persons, especially in Trinidad, who are more spectator friendly, to show up for the games. So their motivation's completely different from what would be there for Jamaica, and nothing wrong with it as far as I'm concerned.
Go ahead, Mr. Eid.
Mr. Codley, speaking of the ticket donation there, CWI deserves credit for the generous ticket donation in the South Africa games held recently in Jamaica. And I see that as the beginning, and it is a pointer of variations in promoting the game locally. So what they're doing in this current warm-up match with Australia, it's just the beginning. And I believe from here, we plant a small seed and we expect to reap or benefit down the road as the crop, as we say, as the crop grows and it nourishes, we will reap the benefit later on. So it is certainly creditable to Cricket West Indies for the steps they're taking now. It is obviously a ladder if you think about it, and they're now moving up the step one rung at a time. So I give credit, and I certainly appreciate the gesture and hope that, as small as it may be, it is something that is a start.
Absolutely. And Mr. Leon Francis, that base, the president of the cricket show there in the United States is listening to us while driving, and we want to say hello to him and that we miss him on set this morning, and we certainly hope that he can join us back Saturday morning as we build up to the game Sunday with the West Indies and the Africans that are reaching their first World Cup. And also to the others in the other parts of the United States, good morning to you all in New York. See you giving us your generous support, and also in Guyana. Don't forget to watch the ads on don't click them off, watch them, because when you do, revenue will start to come to the academy, of which we will use for the benefit of less fortunate cricketers here in Jamaica. When you look on the Australian team, 9 players were available for the match against Namibia at the Queen's Park Oval. Something historic happened where the former Australian captain and now lead selector, George Bailey, had to take the field because of the shortage of players for Australia. Also, the Australian coach, Andrew McDonald, had to be a substitute fielder as well. They did not bat, but they had to come on the field and feel. And from our reports, that will affect them in the upcoming game tomorrow against the West Indies, because some of the Australian squad are still in India and not expected to reach Trinidad and Tobago before the game ends. And if they do reach, there'll be jet lag, and it would not be sensible really to ask them onto the field for that engagement. What is this really? Why how the authorities allow this to happen, bearing that we are coming into a very important World Cup? Do you think that the IPL is being given more value than an important World Cup for this Australian team? Because we know that most of their players, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Starc, and a few others, they were in the final that just ended on Sunday. And from India, then Dubai to the Caribbean, it's a long ride. But for a World Cup, a warm-up match, an important warm-up match, would this be accepted from a West Indies point of view? Would the fans here in the West Indies, or would the authority would have gotten away with something like this? Because if we had done this, the Australian media would be all over us. They would be all over us. So I want from you your thoughts on the lead selector, George Bailey, and the head coach, Andrew McDonald, taking the field at the Queen's Park Oval. Have to be feeling for a depleted Australian team that the authorities in Australia send to the World Cup.
I think, Junior, and to our listeners, this is a reflection, as I've always felt, with what happens in cricket, in that there is not a governing body that dictates cricket as there is in football, soccer, where, uh, for instance, a World Cup, FIFA Football World Cup, the teams have to arrive at the World Cup venue a couple of weeks before the first game is even played. And here it is in cricket. The players and teams are arriving maybe days before the event. And so if there was a governing body dictating what has to happen, then I don't, and that teams have to arrive, say 2 weeks before the first game, instead of what is happening now. Is it a disrespect then to maybe to West Indies tonight that, we don't need to have all our big players playing in this game. It's just a warm-up game. Even within West Indies cricket fans, can you imagine some of our players not arriving and Darren Sammy has to take the field? There would be an outcry from
Absolutely.
us, So it's, as I say, there has to be governance. Our cricket lacks governance.
Yeah.
And as long as we don't have that governance, this is what is going to happen with cricket. And that's just my take on it.
Let me look at it another way, gentlemen. We just finished a tri-series down in Sabina Park, And 7 of our World Cup players didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was talking with Brother Heath yesterday, and I said, if it was me, this squad that played at Sabina Park would be the squad that is playing in the World Cup. However, now, let me go the other side now. Let me turn my hat back way. When these fellows play in
India,
that is that money. No,
We're having some issues, Mike.
In the IPL. They were doing it for money. So I am going to have to look sideways and forgive them because the West Indians had 7 players missing. These guys only have 3 missing. So I wouldn't be too hard and say they were dissing us or anything. Today's world, it's the money that's making the difference. And IPL is where the money is. And the entire world, one of these days, is going to be, and it's going to be one big IPL because the Indians control the money. And my son told me a long time ago, what is the golden rule, Dad? The man with the goal rules. So don't get upset. Just hope that we get some of it, Reach out to ICC and tell them, listen, you are doing a nice job with your show. Can you siphon off some money so you do a better job, So everybody have to be going there with the hands stretched out so I'm not going to crucify Australia for, not showing up full strength.
Mr. Heath, your views on Australia lead selector and coach taking the field?
Yeah, well, speaking of money or the prize, ultimately the team that is most prepared is the team that will take the prize. And Australia, governing body for cricket, has been looking at their players' welfare and given the green light for them to go ahead and prepare for their eventual retirement by earning extra funds wherever it is available. remembering that it is important for national teams to finish top of the pile. So Australia, with their second ranking currently, obviously is looking to move higher to the number one ranking. So they are mindful of the fact that they are player short because of their other activities. So this gives opportunities for teams like the West Indies to take advantage. And if we can't take advantage of situation like that to enhance our own position, then we are not forward looking or forward thinking. So I have no particular beef with Australia being unable to find those players, but I say to the West Indies, here is a golden opportunity to make them realize that coming forward with 8 rather than 11 players is going to be disadvantageous to you, and we are going to take advantage of that. Back to you.
Yeah, Mr. Brown, knowing that you are a historian and a long time follower of West Indies cricket, if West Indies were to turn up at Australia with 10 or 9 of 15 players, and Coach Sammy had to take the field and fly reefer past players of the West Indies, we have to take the field, because it was 2 years ago West Indies went to Australia. A lot of our players got injured. We had to take a player that is long retired and was playing in a semi-professional league in Adelaide. We have to bring him down, and I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, to field in our team. The Australian media said West Indies should not be invited back to Australia because our players are unfit and are not fit for purpose. But now, this is what their media personalities are saying. The T20 World Cup in Port of Spain witnessed a rewind as Australia emerged victorious against Namibia in a warm-up match. The match saw a fascinating twist. Listen their choice of word. A fascinating twist with former Australian stalwarts, now head of selectors, and head coach Andrew McDonald stepping onto the field as substitute fielder. Their agility and physiques were a sight to behold, providing that age is just a number when it comes to passion for the game. Your thoughts on this backwardness when it suits them, and the forwardness, forwardness when it suits them, but when it is the opposition, their backwardness in thinking and their disrespect to the World Cup and to the West Indies and to the viewing public at the Queen's Park Oval in Trinidad. You're muted, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Codlin. And first and foremost, we have a history of being so forgiving and not looking at the very big picture. As you correctly point out, West Indies would never dare do something like this to anyone. And the big problem is simply this, the IPL. And Mr. Melbourne alluded to it, governance, where the window, you have to create a window for international games, wherein nothing else is happening in the cricket world. That window has not been created by the ICC for whatever reason. Whether they have the power to do it, yes or no, is irrelevant. It just has not been created. So, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's your thoughts?
No. I'm sorry. I was getting another phone call here.
Okay.
Yes. So what has happened is that it's a disrespect as far as I'm concerned. That window has not been created, and Australia is not 3 players or 2 players that are missing. It's 6 out of 15.
Absolutely.
And it's not only to a knock to the West Indies, but also Namibia. You know, because you want to play against the best and measure your progress against the best. The West Indies also wants to do that. They want, because right now the match is almost rendered irrelevant to the point that if West Indies don't win it, shame on them, because
Yeah.
Australia is not at full strength. You know, they don't have extra. If it's only 9 players once again available tonight. If it was a soccer game, they wouldn't be able to play it. You know, an international soccer game would not have been able to play it, and I think it's a bad look. And we have to understand it's not just about the money. These issues don't affect the top teams. They make all the money, and I'm referencing India, Australia, England. They make all the money. West Indies get pittance in comparison to them. And then we say our players need to make money, so we excuse them. But the other countries are making money every which way, and therefore they can afford to withdraw their players when they feel like. And when West Indies withdraw their players, they push back at us and say, no, they have to play. They have to get the NOC. And we need to put a stop to it. We need to stop following and start leading. We talk about mind power and mindset and mindfulness. We need to practice it from our governance point of view and understand our role in cricket and understand what it means to respect other countries. You know, we are playing warm-up games and we have 7, 8 players missing from our squad also. So we don't only speak about it when it affects us negatively, but we should speak about it otherwise, because everybody thinks it's okay for this person. Let him go out there and make $1 million. But it is far more than that $1 million. It is a matter of national pride, national dignity, and national, just being there as worthy opponents and worthy competitors and having equal rights to what the other countries have, because it's about the equality. I don't care about how much money anyone else is generated. You need a common pot so that everyone can develop and grow. So I think it's very bad for them to.
Most definitely. Most definitely. We have Mr. Francis from the Cricket Show in the United States, based in Florida, joining us, and his take on the disrespect really from the Australians in sending 9 players and have to have their coach and former captain, now lead selector, taking the field as substitutes. Leon, are you there? You're muted if you're speaking. All right, we're not getting Leon at the moment. We're gonna move on. Head-to-head record for the last 5 games with West Indies and Australia as it regards to T20. Remember, we're building up towards the... Leon, are you there now?
He's evidently muted because he's not responding.
Yes, he's muted. remember, we're building towards the first game with the first warm-up. This is official warm-up between Australia and the West Indies. Just a reminder to our viewers that, you know, when the ads come on this live stream, or whenever you're watching back over, allow the ads to run, as they will benefit the West Indies Cricket Development Academy channel and help us to effect change with less fortunate cricketers here in Jamaica and in the rest of the Caribbean. Head-to-head record for the last 5 games that we played with Australia. It's important to note that West Indies just had 1 win in these last 5 games, no draw, 4 wins to Australia. And if you remember that series back in February, where the 13th to the 24th, when we were in Australia, you know, West Indies won the last game. West Indies made 220 for the last of 6. Australia responding made 183 after 20 overs for the last of 5 wickets. The West Indies winning by 37 runs. Then and West Indies from the 11th, West Australia 241 for 4. West Indies 207 for 9. Australia winning by 34 runs in that encounter. Australia once again win by 11 runs after they made 213 for 7. West Indies responding with 208 after 20 overs for the last of 202 for the last of 8 after 20 overs. Australia once again 178 for 7. West Indies 147 in their response for the last of 8 after 20 overs. Australia winning there by 31 runs. And the 5th game that Australia won, rather the 4th game, West Indies made 145 for the last of 9. Australia responding with 146 for the last of 7. Australia won by 3 wickets with 1 ball left after 19.5 overs in that game. And that game was October 5th, 2022, and where the West Indies lost that game against Australia. So that was the last 5 games that they played there, and you know, Australia seemed to be in the winning column more than less against the West Indies in those last 5 games. You won't find these deep analysis on any other channel than what we are giving you here on West Indies Cricket Development Academy. With the stats that I just read, how much of a chance, despite with the depleted squad, West Indies have tonight against Australia? Mr. E.
Well, you know, you mentioned the 2022 set of series, I should say. But we have to remember that 2022 was a bad year for the West Indies. And since then, we've had the, as somebody described it tonight, inspirational, motivational, and leadership of Darren Sammy and his team. And we have seen the turnaround from the 2023 series through to this particular time. Now, under normal circumstances, the West Indies against Australia tonight should be one of those highly contested matches. This may not be the case because I know we've pointed out that Australia have a lot of players that are missing. And to be quite honest with you, Australia has at least 11 of their squad. 11 of their 15 players have IPL experience. And as many of us know, the IPL experience is considered perhaps the gold standard for measuring performances in T20 matches. So with Australia being 7 out of possibly their 11 IPL experienced players down, the West Indies should be able to take advantage and give West Australia a good hiding. I'm not sure that it will turn out to be a hiding, but the West Indies certainly are in a position in which they should be able to come up trumps by taking care of the depleted Australian side tonight.
Mike Chambers, you're muted.
If the West Indies team can stay disciplined, what I mean by discipline, early to bed, early to rise, no drinking, no gallivanting, sit down and plan, because at the end of World Cup, there could be a pot of gold. So if they can stay focused, they should be able to win all the matches, and they should be able to beat Australia coming off of a mindset that they are coming out of Sabina Park. They know how to win now, so it's a culture. It's now part of it. So I believe they should want to win, and they should trash Australia tonight because they are a depleted team. That's my take.
And the last 5 encounters that we have with them and just winning 1 out of that, and that was back in February. You don't believe that that will play a part in a psychological part in us playing them tonight and getting the win over them?
Yes, but here is what I'm saying. We never did put psychology into our thing. Today, we are now finding persons talking mind power training, talking signing autograph bats for kids. If you saw the look on Brandon King's face the other day at Sabina when he was signing that bat, when he was hugging up the kids. So I am saying the vibration of energy now has changed. Let me see if they can bring it now, forget the past, and start looking to a mind power season.
Mr. Brown, does these last 5 games, bearing the West Indies win the last of the 5, will it factor into tonight's game against the Australia?
Considering the circumstances leading up to the match, and we're not sure what type of team Australia would be fielding, it makes it very difficult to make an assessment. As you've noted, the one victory we had against them was in the last game that we played against them, and that was a record-setting victory in that Rutherford and Russell recorded the highest 6-wicket partnership in T20 internationals. Rust and Chase bowled very well as we defended our total and taking 2 wickets, as did Romario Shepherd. So those memories should serve the team well, and coming on the back of whitewashing South Africa, I expect the overall team confidence to be high, and they should not lose that game today. It would really not be a good result if they lost this game under these circumstances. So I would back the West Indies to win this game.
John?
I take a little, well, I'd like to see the West Indies win this game, which would do a lot for their confidence going into the series. I don't put too much on winning this game, so to speak. I think this game is more a dress rehearsal for the championship games. And I have to believe that the Darren Sammy and his management team will be looking more at putting the combinations together, or to start putting these combinations together, what they are going to probably use during the championship games, the World Cup games. He wants to see, as we have said, 7 players were not available for the South Africa series. So now he wants to get these guys involved, and put his combinations together to to get them working. And this is an opportunity against Australia to put these in place. So it's more, it's like track and field early season. It's not so much winning, but working on certain things that when you get to the big race, you are ready for the big race. And so I'm more interested in seeing what combinations he's going to use. For instance, I sit down and I have put together my 11 for this game, and I don't have Shamar Joseph in this 11. So, I want to see what Darren Sammy does, what 11 he puts on the field to start this game.
And the 11 that you have, does it include the 7 that just came back from India?
The 7 that just came back from India, do I have them? I don't think I have all 7.
Russell, that would be Russell, Rutherford, Rodman Powell.
I don't have Rutherford in my 11 for this game.
Nicholas Pooran, Azari Joseph.
Yeah. I have Shea Hope, Nicholas Pooran, Rodman Powell, of course, Captain Andre Russell, Romario Shepherd, and Alzari Joseph.
Right. As we look with this team now, we have seen where the reserves would have gotten a chance against South Africa to impress the selectors, with Obey McCoy being drafted into the squad that should take the field in the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So with these guys coming back and having a few days to rest, are you looking forward in seeing Shea Hope, Nicholas Pooran, Russell, especially Rutherford, that have not played since February? What's your view on him being picked for the World Cup despite not playing since February? How does this factor into his mentality now and his readiness for an important World Cup? Because though we're going to play Namibia, they are a quality team. Any team that reached the World Cup, they are a quality team, and we can't take them lightly. And him being under game, how much of an effect this might have? Because even though West Indies are the favorite to win the World Cup and also to come out of the group that they are in, along with New Zealand, one bad game and your first game could set the tone for what is going to happen in the later game. Should Rutherford be included in the starting 11 tonight? And should him be included Sunday, bearing that since February he has not played a competitive game? would you take the chance if you were Darren Sammy and Captain Powell?
Including Rutherford in the game tonight, although I don't have him in my 11, I could see him being used tonight to give him some game time. For instance, maybe Andre Russell would not play tonight. Seeing that he's coming off the IPL championship game, and knowing that he has a knee problem, you might want to rest him tonight. So and give Rutherford a chance to get some game time under his belt. So I would not be surprised if Rutherford starts tonight. And or some of the and give some of the players maybe who just finished the IPL a breather. Maybe a Shea who probably will play. But you know, as I say, I could see Rutherford in the 11 tonight, just to give him some game time.
And would you include him Sunday?
No.
You would not take that chance.
It's not taking a chance. I am going with who I think is the better all-rounder in a Andre Russell or a Romario Shepherd.
And beg your pardon as I'm going to allow Mr. E thoughts, and then the learned journalist Mr. Brown thoughts on this.
It's
beg your pardon that West Indies will not play Namibia on Sunday. We will play Papua New Guinea.
Guinea.
Yes, Papua New Guinea starting at 9:30 a.m. local, like 9:30 a.m. Jamaican time, 8:30 a.m. the in the other countries, and that will be game 2 of 55 games, and that will be at the Province Stadium there in Georgetown, Guyana. Mr. E,
well,
your thoughts on the underprepare and undercooked Rutherford?
well, I'm surprised that you describe him as undercooked, because he certainly has abilities, as you mentioned in the last match against Australia last year. He did very well. Nonetheless, I do not see Rutherford in my team for the first couple of games. My team would include Russell, Hope, Joseph Alzari, Puran, Powell, King, Charles, Moti, Chase, Shamar, Holder, Joseph, and if I didn't, I already said King. So yeah, I would like to see that form the bulk of my team, with good emphasis on perhaps trying to get Mayers in there somehow. I know Akil Hossain has had good rankings in terms of his performance in the past, but going on the basis of the performance we've seen Moti has done in the last year and a half, 18 months, I think he's more prepared for this. So I would be looking to have Moti there in place of Akil Hossain and the team that I just gave to you there. And Rutherford, I think, is not likely to be in my team for at least the first 3 matches that we play.
And just for clarity, would he play tonight?
No, I would not. Because this is one of the final games that I'm looking to really fine-tune the team. The time is too late to work on possibilities. Now is when we want to start getting, and I know we're playing Papua New Guinea and Australia shorthanded as they are, but I'm putting out the best team that I'm likely to have in the World Cup, because that prize at the end of this series is too good to miss. So the best is where I'm coming from.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I expect this to be a complete dress rehearsal for the upcoming first game on Sunday. Where right now, if we should win this game, by the way, we'll be on a 4-match winning streak, and not slighting Papua New Guinea or Namibia, we would have a chance of being on a 6-game winning streak before we face New Zealand. And you know, it is imperative that we win these games, because a winning mentality, nothing comes above having a winning mentality. And for that mentality, you have to keep winning. I think there are a few spots up for grab. And one of them is, one of the questions is, will they give Shea Hope a chance to audition for a spot in this team? And will they go with Rutherford or Shepherd? And will McCoy get the nod over Shamar Joseph?
No.
Those are some very important questions. And depending on the final 11 for today's game, it's going to determine who starts on Sunday. The only persons that we're not concerned about would be like the Andre Russell and Pooran and King. Those, it doesn't matter if they play yes or no, because we know they are going to be in the final 11. It's the Johnson Charles, the Rutherfords, the Shepherds, McCoy and Shamar Joseph, who would have to, and Sheho, who would have to audition, if given the opportunity, for their spot in the final 11.
Mike, West Indies going into tonight's warm-up game at the Queen's Park Oval in Port of Spain at 7 against a depleted Australia team with Papua New Guinea in sight in a few days' time. What do you think is the mental advantage for a resurgent West Indies team heading into these possibilities that is on the horizon? If you cook a pot, would you, and the food is finished, would you be happy to eat the meal that is presented to you looking so nice? Your appetite, what is it at the moment? Interpret it in cricket terms.
All right, you spoke about the Rutherford uncooked, and Brother Dennis jumped on that and said he didn't know what he was talking about. And then I heard Brother John explain that I would sit down at Andrew Russell and I would want to look at Rutherford to see if he is cooked or uncooked. So Brother Dale is saying we're not really interested in winning the first one. We don't want to lose, because we want to have a winning mentality going forward. Success breeds success. So now the person who has to make all these decisions is Brother Sammy, sitting down with the captain and maybe another person and deciding now. 7 guys didn't play in the 3 series success, but they are coming off IPL. How do you put the meal together to make sure that the dessert comes out the way it should be? Some ice cream or some cheesecake. See, that's is the win we want, because like Brother Dale said, You do not want to come out losing this match, whether because it's going to be mentally troubling if you're playing a depleted Australia and lose. So you have to put a team now, and why I would go with Rutherford in the last defeat of Australia, you said himself and Russell put together a 6-wicket score. But would I want to play Russell? I would want to rest his knee. I would give him a rest. But yes, Rutherford should go in. Powell might not have to play because you have Brandon King, but I would put Brandon King in as the winning guy coming out of Sabina.
South Africa. Yeah.
That's coming out of right. So those are the kind of things, if Brother Sammy's head is in the winning strokes book, if he read the book or he got one of the book, he is now going to have to put all those pieces together. So it's simple. We want to win. We don't want to stress the players. Rutherford didn't get a chance. Andrew can sit down. So let's pick the squad around Andrew and Rutherford. That's where my head is.
Absolutely.
But it is remember that Azari Joseph is vice captain of this team, you know, Mike.
No, but that's all right because I think
But
his game is sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but if you sit Powell and Azari, do you want to sit Azari too?
Yeah, I would sit him too because,
Okay.
you know, what you need now, you know, is the gel from South Africa still coming over here to pick the best 11 for Sunday.
And that is why I said this is a dress rehearsal.
Right.
And you know, I would and I'd say I don't have Azari Joseph in my team. I think I'm going to go with the two spinners, which are Akil Hussain and Gudakesh Moti. Shamar, I don't think I wouldn't start him, but we'll see.
But bearing that Shamar Joseph have the ticket of Australia and his rise to fame came against them, they might want to play him against Australia just to reignite
that's test
light.
cricket. That was test cricket. It's a different game. 2020 cricket is a different game.
Yes.
Yeah. But but really it was on the back of that he got picked
selected. Yeah.
Yeah, the World Cup team.
Yeah.
So I think he's a definite play tonight. Not because we think it makes sense, but from the think tank, and they want to breathe some more fire into him, and Australia might be the team that unlocks that thing in him again and will spur him on to go and win the World Cup. But Saturday we will discuss the group stage and those that we think will advance and the West Indies chances of advancing out of the group, and we'll also review the warm-up match between the West Indies and Australia as we build to the game with Papua New Guinea on Sunday at 8:30 Guyana time. Thank you for joining.
Before, can I just say one thing before we move on, Junior?
Go ahead.
The game against Papua New Guinea, you know, you have to wonder what mindset they're in. They recently had that landslide in Papua New Guinea that a lot of lost a lot of lives. So you wonder the team.
Yeah, we will gauge your thoughts on that.
Yes.
On Saturday, we
okay.
but that will tip the viewers' appetite a bit. Just a peek into what will be discussed Saturday as we look to build up towards the important game. It's important for them to win the first game in the World Cup, but The warm-up game is what is before us. Your last thoughts, Mr. Ethan and Mr. Brown, and then we'll look to draw this show to a close. Your thoughts. Final.
Yes, thank you, Junior. You know, this is an important match for the West Indies. And I think so long as they go in with the, Mr. Chambers' word, a mindset that we are going to set the stage of where we're going from tonight. That is, it doesn't matter what Australia put on the field. West Indies need to put the winning team, the team that they're going to take all the way through. And for that reason, I believe that Shamar Joseph, regardless of his performance, he must be allowed to play in this entire series, because this is how we make the player rather than break the player by putting him in for a couple of matches and he failed to produce and we discard him. So in my opinion, he needs to play the entire series regardless of how well he does. And we have a winning team if we can include Hope as well as King and Chase in that side. So I'm going to play my best 11, my winning 11, and this should take care of the business.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, well, the key words here are dress rehearsal, and I expect, perhaps with one exception, the team that plays today to be the team that is going to face playing
Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea in the first match on Sunday. Powell will need to come out and marshal his troops, get used to the feeling of being captain again, and put on a good performance in Trinidad before going over to Providence, Guyana, for the real thing.
Absolutely. Mike?
Well, we keep saying dress rehearsal, you know. So I was a little confused a little while ago. We're not going to dress them up in dresses to go on the field in that dress rehearsal, right? So, so I do not want to lose the winning advantage that we now have. We're coming out at doldrum of losses. Now we are starting to win. So I would do everything possible, like Mr. Heath says, to make sure we win with the best team we can put on the field. And best team don't mean the best players, those who are motivationally challenged. We want to leave those aside for now. Those who are enjoying the series, we want to bring them forward. So that is my take.
Thank you, panelists, for joining this morning and for offering your thoughts to the forum. And, you know, as we build up towards the warm-up match with Australia and the West Indies in Port of Spain at the Queen's Park Oval. Thank you once again for joining. For those that are watching and listening in India, we're asking that you will not take our shows and put it on any other platform without you consulting us first, because we will not hesitate with coming after you under Section 2 of the YouTube laws and regulation. We are the rights holder of this show, and none of the panelists' voices should be used without you consulting them. We will take an appropriate action against you if you do that without our knowledge and our consent, our written consent to you in doing that. So we are warning that this will not be done. We are not just a channel on YouTube again, but we are now licensed, and everything we do, we abide by the rules and regulation of YouTube, and our rights should be respected as an organization as well. That was important for us to let you know, because we knew and we know that our channel and our shows are being used in overseas territories without our consent. But we just want to let you know that things have changed with this channel, and we're asking that you consult us first before you go ahead and use our content. Panelists, thank you for joining again. Remember, viewers, to watch the videos on our channel, because it will go towards revenue from YouTube for our academy to enlarge ourselves and to take care of the activities back here in Jamaica as it regards to less fortunate cricketers that are in and around our country and in the rest of the Caribbean islands. Thank you for joining from Australia, from New Zealand, and all over the world that you join us from. John Melbourne, the Cricket Hall of Famer. Thank you for joining the executive chair of the Cricket Hall of Fame in Connecticut, United States. Thank you for joining as well. And also the honorary secretary of the Cricket Hall of Fame, Dale Brown. Thank you for joining. And the newly nominated, Dennis Eat, to be inducted in the Cricket Hall of Fame come October 5th. Thank you for joining. And also the nominated Leon Francis as well. And just before we go, Mike, I want you to come back in and just, because we have record number of viewers at this moment. We want you to just come back in and explain the advertising, of the advertising as it regards to the nomination to some of our viewers, so they can understand. And if they want to participate, please give them a way in which they can contact to do so.
Yes, the Cricket Hall of Fame has been in existence now for 43 years. And what we do is each year, individuals can nominate persons who they think should be inducted into the Cricket Hall of Fame. So once you send us a name and a bio, we will look at the bio and see if these persons are qualified to be inducted. So tonight, on the Zoom tonight, we have Leon Francis and Mr. Dennis Heath. They were nominated by the cricket show persons in Jeten Patel, who is also a past inductee. So once you send us any name, we will look at it. We will see if that person qualifies. We will let you know. And then the process begins where they come to the United States of America, to Hartford, Connecticut. We expect all inductees to show up at the induction ceremony this year, October 5th, at the Sheraton Hotel, Bradley International Airport. They come and they are inducted into the Cricket Hall of Fame, and then they become Hall of Famers. So that's the process that we use. And you can always find us listed on Cricket HOF, crickethof.org, crickethof.org. That's our website, and you get all the information you need.
Absolutely. And for the advertising document?
To advertise with the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, can they purchase ad out of the ad pages? Explain that
yes,
to them.
They can purchase ad in the program booklet that we do. 860-250-2796. WhatsApp. If you give me a call, I will tell you exactly what to do. 860-250-2796. We will give you all the information.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the Cricket Hall of Fame for continuing to sponsor our shows going out to the world, and also our uniform sponsor in India, Ahari Sportswear. If you need any sporting gears of any sort or kind, please get in touch with us and we will direct you to them. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. And from the West Indies Cricket Development Academy and all of us here at the Development Academy, the executive and all our partners, thank you for tuning in this morning. And we will look to come back to you Saturday morning. From me,